So, good evening. Today is Tuesday night. I think. This is our regular Tuesday night, and it's been a whole 1 week that due to this lockdown, nobody is coming to the center for the meditation or any other activities, apart from a few members dropping off food, medicine and other necessary things to the center. And we are very fortunate to have the center in such a distance from the village and the city. It's easy to be isolated over here. Since we haven't got this Tuesday night classes, I thought that I will broadcast at least a few times a week. That's Tuesdays, Wednesdays and weekends, just to connect and communicate with our members and also those who wish to practice meditation in accordance with Buddha's instruction. As most of you know that at the center we normally have 2 classes on Tuesdays and a Wednesday night, starting from probably about 15 to 20 minutes of a chanting and a guided meditation, and which we've been doing ever since we established the center. And this is the first time that we have to close the center and not allowing anyone to come and use the center due to this pandemic virus spreading. And I also got the news that few members also got positive from it too. I hope that they will get better and safe. So when we look at the teachings of the Buddha in terms of the practice, there is Pariyatti, Patipatti and Pativedha. The 3 ways of studying. Pariyatti basically means study what's been told or what's been written. So thoroughly studying on the teachings. And the second, whatever we have learned, what we have heard, investigating. And once we have thoroughly investigated, and then all the analytical knowledge that we get through our investigation, we call it wisdom. In accordance with the Buddha's teachings, this wisdom is not the pure wisdom yet. We have to apply into the practice, and with the practice and this experiential level of understanding of things as they truly are is regarded as the pure knowledge, wisdom. I've been studying Buddhism quite some times, and I read quite a number of books as well. And then I have also read quite a number of suttas from different Nikayas, and I have reflected on that significantly. I remember that when I was studying in a university, it was studying to get the grades didn't make sense at all. Until when I become interested into the practice of meditation, and gradually it becomes so relevant and it makes sense to me. Particularly the teachings of the Buddha, let's say, about the Four Noble Truths or Eightfold Noble Path or dependent origination or three characteristics or so-called the Samanya Lakshana. Yeah? There are so many teachings around that we can find in the Buddha's teachings. And there is also saying that the whole of Buddha's teachings is categorized into 84,000. So 84,000 Dhammas. And all these 84,000 of a Dhamma then simply put it into three categories, that is Sila, Samadhi and Panya. And these all the teachings of the Buddha, these 84,000, in a way it represents the Buddha himself. So in the practice of a meditation, we have to think and reflect that all the experience that we receive, all the experience that we experienced, and all the teachings that we receive from the teachers, simply Buddha is coming to us. And you may wonder, why am I saying this? There is a story at the time of the Buddha that the Venerable Vakali, one of the very faithful disciples during the time of the Buddha, and he had studied all this so-called the Buddhist, the Hindu scripture, and was very skilled. And when he saw the Buddha, he fell in love with his appearance, and simply he became a monk to watch the Buddha. So he became a monk in order to be audience with the Buddha most of the time. He was so admired. And wherever Buddha was, he just followed everywhere, apart from when the Buddha was lying down or in a toilet. Just a couple of places that he wasn't there, but most of the time he was just gazing the appearance of the Buddha. But Buddha didn't tell anything to him, despite of knowing that this Venerable Vakali is following the Buddha simply to admire his appearance. But when time came, it's like when you plant a tree, it doesn't matter how much you want to get the fruit as soon as possible, it won't. Nature is such that you will receive the fruit when time comes, when everything meets, cause and condition comes together. So Venerable Vakali as well, now it was the time. So the Buddha intervened, and the Buddha told him that Vakali, Venerable Vakali, what is in this body? Nothing. But one who knows the Dhamma knows the Buddha. One who knows the Buddha knows the Dhamma. So all the Buddha's teachings basically representing Buddha himself, representing the Buddha who lived during 2,600 years ago, was born in Nepal and taught for 45 years. So all the 84,000 Dhammas, so-called skandhas, basically representing the Buddha himself. So when we meditate, when we reflect on the Buddha's teachings, And any experiences that we receive, that we experience during the meditation, that simply is representing the Buddha in you. Because every one of us has got this Buddha nature. All what we need to develop is to know and to be awake and alert, an ability to enjoy. And that is basically the term the Buddha. So we all have this Buddha nature. And every time when we realize, every time when we are able to note it, every time when we are able to experience it in a right attitude, with the right understanding, we are bringing the Buddha in us. So waking us ourselves, waking from this darkness, waking from this kilesas. So the first Buddha is all the teachings of the Buddha. And whenever, wherever, while we are meditating, these teachings become so familiar, these teachings become so make sense, so relevant to our life. And each time when we know that this is so relevant and it makes sense, that time the Buddha comes to you. So Buddha continuously teaching us, and we take that teaching, all the teachings, as the Buddha teaching us. And secondly, we have this Buddha, historical Buddha himself, who taught for 45 years, from 2,600 years ago. So he was alive. He was the prince, born in Nepal, Lumbini, lived as a prince for 29 years and became a ascetic, so-called a royal ascetic, for 6 years, and with a great perseverance and dedication, after 6 years of becoming a monk, he became the Buddha. And after he became the Buddha, he taught for 45 years. And there are significant number of evidence to indicate that Buddha was alive during that time. I have been to many places where Buddha used to walk on, Buddha used to stay, such as the Lumbini, Kapilavastu, the Buddha Gaya, Saranath, Kusinara, and so many other places. At first, when I was a novice, my teacher took us to the Kapilavastu, a palace where Buddha stayed for 29 years. And there is still this gate where Buddha, the prince, renunciated the palace, and it still exists at that gate. And again, a few years ago, I went back to visit the Kapilavastu for second time or third time. That time again, there was an excavation from Durham University. Professor Cunningham was working on that, and he also found out that 3 palaces that the Buddha and the prince used to live found around the palace area in the Kapilavastu. And similarly in Lumbini, again there is the King Asoka's stump, the stoop with this pillar, which is written that the Buddha was born there. In the meantime, there are monuments erected over 2,500 years ago in different places in India as well. And historically, he was there, alive. So in the practice of a meditation, what happens is, as we understood one Dhamma after another, then we feel so grateful to this historical Buddha. This Buddha, he even though said that he is just a pathfinder, he just showed the path. We have to walk on that, but yet we have to be very concerned, appreciate what the Buddha taught. Otherwise, we would not be able to have these great teachings so we can follow and liberate ourselves. And this you will see from your own experience, that how great the Buddha was, how great his teachings are, and how grateful that all the community of the Sanghas preserved these teachings until today. And we have this opportunity to learn and to practice. Without the Sangha community that carried the Buddha's teachings in different forms up to now, we would not have this opportunity to learn and practice. And here, practice of a meditation is the essential part of a Buddhist education or a Buddhism. We may read books, we may read the suttas, we may analyze the suttas, we may analyze the books. What we get, all the analytical knowledge, that's only philosophy, a philosophy of the Buddha. And we try to make sense of it, and we try to make relevant to this present day. But in fact, in order to understand the real Buddha's teachings, we have to apply into the practice, into day-to-day life. So practice of a meditation is one of the essential tools to get into the Buddha's teachings. Otherwise, we're just philosophers, not real Buddhists. And the practice, again, the Buddha said that there are two types of a meditation. It's called the Samatha Vipassana. The practice of a Samatha meditation is known as a concentration meditation, and practice of a Vipassana meditation known as the Vipassana meditation. Some may argue that the Samatha meditation is not that important, and others may say that the Samatha meditation was before the Buddha. It was an ancient technique. But when you look at the Buddha's teachings, and when we apply into our day-to-day life and apply the teachings and try to practice meditation, what we find that samatha and meditation goes hand in hand. Without samatha, we would not be able to develop vipassana. And when we practice vipassana, again, samatha will follow. Because if our mind is not concentrated, if our mind is not stable, we would not be able to ponder, we will not be able to understand things as they truly are, the way it is. So it will go hand in hand, but it depends on how and which way you will define the teachings. And in a practice of a samatha meditation, if we look at the commentaries, we see that there are basically categorized into 40 types. But in my understanding, anything, any object, you can use it. So you can concentrate, you can focus, and gradually develop the concentration. So there are a number of objects that you can use, limitless, uncountable, although in commentaries classified only 40 types. And this samatha meditation is very important for us because we are so caught up with the behavior, caught up with the businesses, caught up with our busy mind, unable to stabilize the mind, unable to be. So having an object to work with, so-called a samatha object, helps us to concentrate, helps us to focus, and helps us to disconnect from these distractions, disconnect from this restlessness, and finding this peace and tranquility. And you may find within this 10 days of a lockdown, few days you may enjoy. You may have found it that a few days it was so exciting and you were so enjoying. But now this has been 10 days and it's feeling bored, wanting to go out, wanting to do something else, and yet the rules, you cannot go. It's a funny thing that when we were a child and we were asked to do this and asked to do that, and we had a thought that wish I have to do nothing and just lying on my bed, relax. Now this time has come. We have nothing to do, nothing to worry. All we were asked to do is to sit inside the house, resting in the house. And yet it's so difficult. And this difficult is not because something else, but because of our own mind. The mind wants to go out, mind wants to do this and want to do that, want to meet up with this and meet up with that. And this constantly moving, constantly changing, constantly looking for something, constantly looking for this entertainment. And the practice of a meditation, simply having an object and working with that, well, just disconnecting from it, absorbing it, and settling down, grounding yourself onto the object. As you have settled down, and then what we need to do is to opening up, so-called you're standing on the foundation and looking things around. And now you have got this strong anchor that where you can anchoring your mind and looking at the things. It's like a boat. You have a very firm, strong anchor where your boat been anchored. And now you can float and enjoy the view, enjoy the weather. So with us too, in the practice. Once we have found this foundation, established on the foundation, and then releasing it and using this concentration to understand things as they truly are. And that is the insight. That is the vipassana. Knowing things as they truly are, the way it is taking place when it is. There is no judgment, nothing at all. And normally it's very difficult to understand the outside world because it's so vast. That's why I always channel back to our body, ourself, understanding our own self. In order to understand, we have to find a relaxed position, sitting comfortably. Like you're watching a mirror and looking at your sitting body. And wherever you feel uncomfortable, just making it comfortable and relax. Taking a long breath and holding and releasing for a couple of a time will help you to relax the body and you relax the muscles. You may do it for a couple of times, like taking a long breath and releasing slowly. Long breath in and then releasing slowly. And this relax is not that I am giving it to you. It's you that you are experiencing this relaxedness. by you doing it. Just a couple of times. So breathing in long and aware the breathing in and breathing out. And observing whatever things happening as you breathe in and as you breathe out within the body. What are the sensations that you can feel? Where do you feel that sensation? And most obviously, nothing else, just observing that. And as you observe, making a note of it as you are able to make it, see it, know it. That's called knowing all the time, any moment, whenever it comes in. So, knowing with the full alertness of your mind. That's why you have the Buddha nature, and you're awakening every time when you're able to make a note of it. So know, keep your mind alert, and as soon as you're able to note it, relax, enjoy, and smile. Bhagwan, smile, with joy, with happiness, with contentment, with full equanimous mind. So, at first, we practice meditation to know things. And the second, we develop understanding of this mind itself with a full alertness. And then, last, relax and smile, equanimous mind with joy and happy. Nothing to cling on, nothing to worry about. Beautiful this moment, beautiful this knowing. Resting, relaxing, and enjoying this moment. So, thank you very much for watching. We'll continue practicing, so you can continue practicing meditation simply by sitting comfortably, bringing your mind back to the moment here and now, observing the breathing in and out, and relax. You may set up a time of 15-20 minutes and making a conscious decision to practice meditation continuously until 15 or 20 minutes. Without moving, without changing, and developing this continuity of the practice, and enjoy. So may you be happy and peaceful. Continue practicing.